unafraid. We'll rise up. We'll rise just like the waves. We'll rise, we'll rise, we'll rise. Despite the ache, we'll rise up. And we'll do it 1,000 times again. Yes, we will. For you. For you. For you. For you.
That was Miss Opal Staples singing Rise Up by Andra Day. And fun fact, I learned that Opal is a member of the Staples family. So let's give her another round of applause. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Candace Moore, and I serve as the Chief Equity Officer here in the City of Chicago. We are so grateful to have you all gathered with us today as we raise the Juneteenth flag, which I learned was the first time we're raising the Juneteenth flag, as a lead up to the holiday this Saturday, June 19th.
All right.
As I look into the audience, there are certainly more names than I have time to mention, and I also don't want people mad at me for not mentioning them, but I do want to acknowledge that we have our friends and colleagues from City Council and from City Hall, so if you want to just raise your flag and let folks know who you're here. We also have our friends from Cook County, if you want to raise your flag. And also some of our friends from the state of Illinois, if you want to raise your flag. And certainly, last but not least, our friends and our leaders from community who have helped us ensure that Juneteenth stays alive. If you will just do a raise of your flag so we know you're here. This Juneteenth ceremony has been a special collaboration with community and government to make sure the City of Chicago took stock of this moment. This has been especially important for me because of its alignment with our initiative, Together We Heal, led by the Office of Equity and Racial Justice. This initiative has created opportunities for community members and government stakeholders to work together to advance racial healing by reflecting on our past, both the trials and the triumphs, reclaiming our present, establishing a new principles of engagement and how we will get our work done, and reimagining our future, working together to bring a more inclusive community into our reality. I want to give a special thanks to our dynamic planning team. So we are pleased to be co-sponsoring this with the Black Caucus. And a special shout out to Alderwoman Hadden and her office. I also want to thank the Black Remembrance Project, specifically Lucretia Burks and TJ Crawford. And I also want to take the Juneteenth Illinois Committee, Commissioner Deere, for his leadership there. And countless other partners who are working all across the city to make sure this Juneteenth is memorable. I'm grateful for your leadership and for your partnership. So without further ado, I want to get things started and introduce someone who certainly needs no introduction at all, but it's someone who has been a fierce champion of equity and diversity. So please welcome our mayor of the City of Chicago, Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Good morning, everyone. How are you feeling today on this beautiful, beautiful June day? And the fact that we are now fully open, the largest city in the country to do so, and that we are able to gather together is a remarkable accomplishment. And it's because of all of you and people who across this city have understood the necessity of sacrifice that has brought us from a mighty long way to this moment. And I'm grateful to be here with all of you celebrating Juneteenth. I'd also like to call out a few of our leaders that are here on the stage with us. First, let me identify and call out Illinois Senate Majority Leader Kimberly Lightford. Kim, Senator Lightford is an education champion. She is really the moral compass of the Senate and really the General Assembly. I don't think she gets nearly the credit that she deserves for the things that she has done to champion our children and make sure that equity has real meaning in the state legislature. Yes. Senator Lightford, thank you so much. Candace recognized Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere. I want to thank him also for his leadership statewide and making sure that we are coordinated in our efforts around Juneteenth. Let me also call out and recognize Alderman Jason Irvin, who is the chair of the City Council Black Caucus. Congressman, or maybe I'm promoting you. Maybe I'm promoting you. Alderman Irvin has been a fearless champion for all things related to the black community, West Side, South Side, North Side. He has challenged me and challenged us to make sure that we never forget the importance and the history of Black Chicago. Thank you, Alderman Irvin. I also want to call out Alderwoman Maria Hadden, who has also been at the forefront of making sure that Juneteenth is recognized in our city. Thank you, Alderman Hadden. Candace mentioned the Black Remembrance Project, in particular Lucretia Burks and TJ Crawford. I also want to recognize two other folks who are here with us today, and that's the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Reverend, and also one of our great congressional leaders, Congressman Bobby Rush. Congressman. And I do want to also recognize the members of the City Council Black Caucus who are here. I wonder if you would stand and be recognized. Candace recognized some of our members from the General Assembly who are here, but I also want to invite them to stand, some of whom are standing and wave. And thank you all for being here and for supporting this initiative. And we got to give another round of applause to Opal Staples and Corey Wilkes, our musical performance this morning. Opal, your voice is such a gift. And your singing really, I think, spoke to who we are and what our spirit needs in this moment. So thank you very much for gracing us with your presence. For over 400 years, the contributions of black people have stitched together the social and economic fabric of this country, meaning that black folks are inextricably tied to America's founding and foundation and success. Days like Juneteenth remind the world that black history is truly American history and provide us with an important opportunity to reflect on the continued work we must do to create a society where all black folks have free, unrestricted access to the resources that we need to enjoy the full measure of citizenship. Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day, is a day that holds great historical significance. On June 19, 1865, a Declaration of Freedom was issued in Galveston, Texas, that freed the black people who were enslaved 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation in 1862. A year later, in 1866, formerly enslaved black people in Texas would organize the first Juneteenth celebration, helping to not only ring in a new era of independence for black people in the United States, but beginning of a long journey towards equity and inclusion, a journey that continues today. Slavery might have officially ended in 1865, but we are still grappling with the vestiges of that original sin here today. From historic neighborhood disinvestment to institutionalized racism that holds our people back from realizing their God-given potential just because of the color of their skin. These inequities continue to keep far too many black folks away from opportunities and upward mobility. And we cannot simply stand idly by and continue to allow that to happen. We must rise up, as the song says. We must call out this institutionalized racism that plagues our neighborhoods and robs our children of their ability to reach their fullest potential. In order to address these inequities once and for all, it is absolutely critical. Now, this part is important. It is absolutely critical that we work together and that we form a united front against racism, discrimination, and whatever forms that it may take. Now, black folks are not a monolith that we all can attest, and we may not agree on every issue. But if we work against each other and we destroy the progress that we could be making together, we are hurting another generation of young people. So united, we must stand. Now, accomplishing this goal obviously takes time, but what it also takes is diligence and focus and intentionality. It also requires us to work from the same version of history, the true version of history, so that we may use the past to guide us as we move forward into our future and destiny. To erase the history of Juneteenth is not only a great disservice to black folks, both here in Chicago and across the country, but a great disservice to our collective memory. I, like many others, didn't even know anything about Juneteenth until I was an adult. And that's because it has never been treated with the reverence that it should be. You look at our history books, the history books that are used to teach our children, and you may only see a passing reference, if at all. We must change that. Juneteenth deserves more than a passive mention in a textbook or headline. Here in Chicago, we are taking an important step forward to ensure Juneteenth receives its proper recognition. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that starting next year, the City of Chicago will officially recognize Juneteenth as a city holiday to fully honor its history and legacy. We are doing this because Juneteenth must be treated like any other of the special days we observe and celebrate here in the U.S., one of which happens to be here today. Every year on June 14th, our country has come together to celebrate Flag Day. This holiday, which has been officially observed for over a century, commemorates the adoption of the U.S. flag on June 14, 1777, by the Second Continental Congress. It celebrates the stars and stripe design that has become synonymous with freedom, albeit for too long of our history, not freedom for all. We must also recognize that freedom has been illusory for far too many American residents, including black people. So we must embrace all American history, and today, on Juneteenth, we will be raising another flag, the Juneteenth flag. And let me tell you about that. The Juneteenth flag was created by Ben Haith in 1997. Haith, founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation, initiated the first flag-raising ceremony that same year, 1997, in Boston, Massachusetts. The flag features the same red, white, and blue of the American flag, to remind us that Black people built this country and are American citizens. The white star at the center of the flag represents not only the Lone Star State, where the original Juneteenth celebrations began, but also represents the freedom of Black Americans across the country. The burst which surrounds the star is a nova, or a new star, and represents the new beginning that Juneteenth provided for Black Americans. And the last feature is the arc, which extends across the width of the flag and represents a new horizon and new opportunity for Black Americans. This flag, as well as the Pan-African flag, are important symbols of Black history and, as a result, American history. Now, we may not have the power to change the past, but we do have a responsibility to take an honest look at that past, address its modern-day impacts, and work to prevent mistakes and atrocities from ever repeating themselves again. By doing this, as well as putting on celebrations like today's flag raisings and our overall Juneteenth celebrations, we will not only be able to pay homage to those who lost their lives or endured slavery here in the U.S., but we will also be able to carry the torch forward and keep their legacies alive. Ladies and gentlemen, our young people need to know our history. Too many of them growing up and not knowing not only about the struggle, but about the triumphs and the accomplishments of Black people in this country from day one. We need to change that around. So that I hope as these Juneteenth celebrations continue to blossom, that part of what we do is teach that history so that we know it for ourselves and that we can pass it down to further generations. Our young people should not be growing up thinking that our history in this city, in this country, is limited. No, our history is rich and vibrant and needs to be celebrated and embraced. We need to do that, and we owe that obligation to our young people. We need to pass this torch forward so that it not only illuminates the path ahead, but brings us a better and brighter future. So this Flag Day and this Juneteenth, let's make sure that we honor the many, many contributions that Black folks have made to this city, to this state, and this country, and recommit ourselves to the fight for equity and inclusion and freedom for all. These can't just be empty words. As the Bible says in James, faith without works is dead. So we need to make sure that we get manifest to our works every single day to bring alive who we are and the model that we want to create for our children to emulate. So thank you very much. God bless all of us. Happy to be here, and happy Juneteenth.
And next up, I'm pleased to welcome Commissioner Deere to the stage. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Alderman Irvin.
I've never been mistaken for Dennis Deere in life, so it's all good. The West Side, it is. West Side is the best side. Don't y'all forget that. Don't y'all forget that. Well, first off, I want to thank Mayor Lightfoot. Actually, some of the words that I was going to say, she has said. But I also want to thank our champion in our caucus for this today and has been on this issue since her beginning with us in the City Council. That's Alderwoman Maria Hadden. Let's give her a hand. Also, our colleagues in Springfield, Senator Lightford, and also my county commissioner, Dennis Deere, for leading the charge here at the county. And that's why I said the West Side was the best side, because all of them represent us on the West Side. So again, the great thing about this is that Juneteenth for us is a day of celebration, a day of remembrance, a day of triumph over the horrid debauchery of slavery. it's not just enough for us to have a barbecue, to have a parade, to just sit back and think about just the positive, but we have to continue to push, as Mayor Lightfoot has pushed here in the city of Chicago, to make Juneteenth a national recognized holiday. Because when we look back and we look at the blood, the sweat, the tears that our people have put in creating what we know is the United States of America, the U.S. of A. today would not be what it is now without the work of what our community and what our ancestors did to make the U.S. what it is today. And for that, we need recognition. Again, even in Chicago, we talk about segregation, the denial of fair rights, entertainment, sports. All of these things have been created and worked on for people of descendants of slaves. And again, our recognition, and it's time for that for us to be due. So with that, I'm going to just say thank you, and we want to recognize our ancestors, recognize the blood, sweat, and tears that they put in to making us who we are today. And again, I want to thank the mayor and to thank the members of our caucus for pushing to make this day possible and to make Juneteenth a reality for all Chicagoans. Thank you, and God bless you.
Good morning, everybody. So I want to thank all of my colleagues, the mayor, the mayor's team, everyone on this stage and everyone in the audience. Thank you for making this day possible. I'm honored to be with you all today on this momentous occasion. So this is our first day of observance for Juneteenth in Chicago. So thank you to the Black Remembrance Project for asking me to be the lead sponsor on this legislation. I want to thank the staffers in my office for the 49th Ward, especially Torrance Gardner and Tiffany Liner, for all of your work in seeing this through. And to my colleagues in City Council for all of your support, especially Alderman David Moore, who's the first to sign on as a co-sponsor for this legislation. And then, of course, I want to thank Mayor Lightfoot and her team for your partnership and all of your efforts and the efforts to come. So I only want to take a few minutes here just to briefly share 3 reflections about this holiday and why it's so important. So first, justice and healing require truth. Juneteenth is about Black liberation. It's about Black freedom. Our city, like our nation, still has so much work to do to reckon with our past and current systemic racism. Some would have us ignore our history, gloss over it, in service to just moving on. They tell us that our calls to acknowledge the wrongs that we faced are dividing us. But don't heed their call. Do not be silent, for there can be no healing without truth and reconciliation. As Ida B. Wells said, the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Celebrating Juneteenth is an opportunity for us all to shine that light. Second, celebration can be an act of resistance. Keeping traditions alive, intentionally creating community spaces, and organizing to lift each other up in the face of oppression is a radical act of love. This day of observance is more than a hat tip to popular demand. We began our efforts in 2019, looking to mark the 400 years since the first known enslaved Africans were brought to this land. In a time when we must continuously remind ourselves and our neighbors that Black lives matter, the resurgence of Juneteenth celebrations around our nation is both celebration and resistance. Finally, resistance and struggle are necessary for there to be progressive change. In Frederick Douglass's famous speech, "If there's no struggle, there's no progress," he reminds us that power concedes nothing without demand. Juneteenth makes me think of these words because that freedom that was granted wasn't really the freedom that was promised. For those who don't know, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in January of 1863. And Juneteenth marks the date in June 1865 when enslaved people in Galveston, Texas learned that they were free. So this means that they were kept enslaved for 2 more years past emancipation. 2 years. So though the people of Galveston rightly celebrated their new freedom, it was with the knowledge that 2 additional years had been stolen from them. The centuries that followed have brought us progressively closer to equality for Black Americans, but not without a fight for each and every gain. And with each victory, there's been a backlash, some attempt at keeping Black people oppressed. Even now, systemic racism affects our access to education, wellness, housing, wealth building, and justice. But as I stand before you now in 2021, as one of the first Black alderpersons elected to represent the north side of the city, as a member of a 20-person strong Aldermanic Black Caucus, and with the first Black woman to serve as mayor of the city of Chicago, right? And amongst amazing community and government partners, I know that the struggles of our ancestors have yielded progress. In closing, we've come a long way, but still have so far to go. And so Juneteenth should be a day for Chicagoans of all races to reflect on what we must do to heal, how we can lift each other up in community, and should be a day to renew our commitments to the struggle for justice, equality, and equity. Thank you again to each of you who's made today's celebrations possible. Commissioner Deere.
Thank you so much, Alderwoman Hadden, and thank you for your work on Juneteenth. Good morning. I always start out by saying God is good and all the time, because it is in him that we live, we move, and we have our being. And had it not been for him, we wouldn't even be here today. So I'm thankful. I'm also thankful for our wonderful mayor, Lori Lightfoot. Give her a round of applause. Thank you for being a trendsetter, Mayor. The mayor got up here and said we need to start a fund for Black folks. That's some out-of-the-box stuff there. Juneteenth is going to be a holiday in the city of Chicago. No, you can clap. As we say on the west side, that's what's up. Listen. This is an important holiday. It's an important segment. I'm thankful for so many individuals who are here, even on this day. Leader Lightford, who sponsored Juneteenth in the Senate, and that is passed. Representative Sean Ford in the House, that is passed, is waiting on the governor's signature. Thank you to T.J. Crawford for Black Culture Week. Yeah. Thank you to Lucretia for the Black Remembrance Project. To all the members of the Cook County Joint Committee for Juneteenth, why don't you stand? If you're here, stand. Where you at? Stand. This is a collective of city, county, state, community, all coming together to celebrate Juneteenth. But don't get me wrong. It isn't about celebrating Juneteenth as just a holiday. Juneteenth is every single day. Because somewhere somebody is being mistreated. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are not truly free until we've got some equity. I was glad to see Sister Candace representing the city around equity. I'm glad that Madam President Prettwinkle created a $100 million equity fund. Why? Because we need some equity. And let me say this, equity and equality are two different things, right? Some people get that twisted, use them interchangeably, but they're two different things. Equity is about what we need. Equality is what we want. Equality is giving me my fair shake of the pie today. Equity is giving me some back taxes. Come on, let's keep it 100. If we're going to do it, we have to keep it 100. We are pushing, Juneteenth, Illinois is pushing equity. It is about us going to the next level. So not just June 19th, but every single day of this year. And next year, this time, we should be talking about the accomplishments of this year. Excuse me. So as I take my seat, it is important that we are free. And I'm glad to see Brother Jesse Jackson here. He is a brother of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And we got a lot of Divine Nine in here. Divine Nine, make some noise. Divine Nine was a key component of Juneteenth. But let me end with this. Dr. King talked about freedom. He said, when we allow freedom to reign, when we allow freedom to reign from every tenement and every hamlet, every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of that old Negro spiritual. Free at last, come on with me. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. We can't sing that till we get equity. God bless you. I got to introduce somebody else. I got happy.
Fired up. You got fired up.
My sister is not only a leader in the state senate, leader Kimberly Lightford, but she don't play. I sit and watch her from afar. She don't play. If she believes something, she getting ready to tell you. It's no mistake that she's a sister of Delta Sigma Theta. It's no mistake. So without further ado, my sister, Senator Kimberly Lightford, leader in the Senate. Give her a round of applause as she comes.
Thank you, my brother. I see all these little pinky fingers in the front row. To God be the glory for the things he has done in my life. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Do you not stand on somebody's shoulders that brought you here? Jesse, Congressman, thank you. We stand on your shoulders. All of us do. And today, we celebrate taking a stand to keep Black history alive by making Juneteenth National Freedom Day a state holiday. Yes, it's a state holiday. So if the city and the council and the commissioners want to do a little bit more, then the state by all means. But nothing should be less than the state holiday. I would like to thank Mayor Lightfoot, the City Council Black Caucus, and definitely the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus for this fight in celebrating how far our country has come. Juneteenth is a day that all Black people should remember, all Black people. It was the day that the last slaves were freed after our colleague just said 2 whole years later. How that message didn't get down there, I don't know. But 2 years in additional enslavement. And it's a part of our journey that should be celebrated with pride and joy, and it deserves, and it will be included in our students' history books. We're gonna put this in the history books. I, along with Representative LaShawn Ford, we passed the House Bill 3922. We actually gave the governor a few options. We sent him a Senate bill and a House bill. The governor is going to make that a paid holiday on this week. He's planning, yes. The governor is planning a special signing ceremony in Springfield. Now I can't ad-lib, but I don't want to right now. because I might go too far. The governor is planning a special ceremony, and I do appreciate his unwavering support.
All right.
We led this charge because Black history is American history. The emancipation of our ancestors should be honored, just like any other memorable moment in our nation's past. We must continue to ensure our story is told, and that starts with ensuring Juneteenth is declared a state holiday. And I truly hope and pray that all of us will take a moment on June 19th to reflect on all of our family members who brought us to this point, the sacrifices that Big Mama made, the sacrifices that whomever was in your household that told you that you can be what the school books was not telling you that you already were. We want to make sure that we remember them on that day. And in the oldest national celebration of the freedom of all slaves in this country, let us also remind us how far our society has come, but how much work there is still yet to do. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lucretia Burks. I am both the co-chair of the Black Remembrance Project and also the Chicago Juneteenth Planning Coalition. Thank you all so much for being with us on this hot day in this burning sun. I'm so grateful for everybody's presence. I'm also so very grateful for all of the legislators who are making Juneteenth a holiday at the state, city, and county level. Like, can we get an applause for all of them? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor Lightfoot, for declaring that Juneteenth will be a holiday in the city of Chicago. I am so excited for this. This is what the Black Remembrance Project set out to do in 2019. And 2 years later, right, we are here and we celebrate this. And I actually, for the Black Remembrance Project members in the audience, please rise. I want to just pay homage to these sisters here. There are also other people who are not here to be today, who, when I called for us to make this a holiday in 2019, they took action. They were with me the whole entire ride through. We made a petition, we called legislators, you know, we mobilized our community. And I hope that Juneteenth is a day that, you know, Black members of the community, that we do that for not just legislation for a holiday, for other things in our community as well. So I look forward to the future of Juneteenth in that regard. But I just want to take a minute to just talk about our ancestors and what this day might have meant for them. When I think about Juneteenth, I think about how they might have felt in their body, right? When they heard that news, that thud that they felt in their chests, right? The excitement and the tension they felt in their limbs. I think about the way that they twisted their mouths to cry, to scream, to shout when they found out that they were free. And I am so honored that I can celebrate them and acknowledge their struggle and our triumphs today. That is what Juneteenth is all about. It is about taking the time to acknowledge what we have been through in this country. As a Black American descendant of slavery in this country, we continue to struggle, right? It is not easy. We may have been freed from slavery, but we still have so many other things that we have to get through. And many people on this stage have already talked about it. Equity, right? We need equity. We need lots of things. The holiday is just the beginning. You know, it's just a recognition. It's just a first step. There are many people, when we started off this campaign, who they challenged it. They said, you know, Black people already low-key celebrate Juneteenth. And the reason why myself as an adult and many legislators on this stage, they also talked about learning about Juneteenth as an adult is because we have kept this Juneteenth as a secret, right? Just like the history of this nation, we don't talk about the trauma that Black people have experienced. And so we're going to use Juneteenth to talk about that, to address where Black people are today and our trauma and things that we experienced in the past, as well as our triumphs. So I just want to highlight that. But I will also be remiss if I didn't talk about not only the enslaved on Juneteenth, but also the people who gave them the news, right? There were Union soldiers who went down there, black soldiers from New York and Illinois who went down there to Texas to give them the news, right? Yes. And when I think about those of us, including the Black Remembrance Project, T.J. Crawford from the Black Culture Week, other Juneteenth organizers like Carol Johnson from the 1865 Fest, Cassiopeia from the Black Mall, David from the Pullman Porter Museum, we all answered the call, right? Because it's one thing to know that you were free, but those soldiers who went down to Galveston who had already been emancipated, they said they were willing to go down there and die to emancipate others for their freedom. And I believe that all of the Juneteenth organizers who I also have met, including the organizers from the Illinois Juneteenth Coalition, the Illinois Juneteenth Committee, we all are answering the call, right? To make sure that, for one, that all of our descendants know about our history in this country and that it's not a secret anymore. You know, Juneteenth was already a holiday. We're just solidifying it. But up next, I don't want to take too much time in this hot sun. I just want to express so much gratitude for everybody who answered the call. And I especially want to express gratitude to Alderwoman Maria Hadden. Without Alderwoman Maria Hadden, we wouldn't have gotten very far in our campaign. Her office, Torrance Gardner, Tiffany, they took up this task and they worked with us every step of the way to make sure that we were pushing the legislation forward. So I appreciate them. I also want to say that I appreciate T.J. Crawford, who has been there from day one when we started this campaign. He worked with us also to make this a holiday, and he's been working on Black Culture Week, which he'll talk about in his speech. But last but not least, I just want to name the names of the people who supported, you know, the Black Remembrance Project, who helped to create the Black Remembrance Project. Lynette Sims, Linda Jennings, Toya Graham, Raquel McGee, Malik Sims, who's not here. I appreciate you all so very much for all of your labor and your efforts. I appreciate all the Juneteenth organizers organizing events throughout the city. Thank you so much. Up next, I'll welcome TJ.
She gonna tell me to keep it short. You know, it's all good. I will though. Can we give it up one more time though for Lucretia Burks? Can we? I think she deserves a standing ovation. Can we give Lucretia a standing ovation for the work that she's done with the Black Remembrance Project, being not just the spark, but the leadership that has brought us here to this day, a young Black woman who I am proud to have followed in this effort. It was like 5 years ago, after some horrendous tragedy that took place in the city. I think it was a combination of what happened internally to the Black community, but I know it was something that was external to the Black community. And I called a bunch of my friends and said, what can we do to make a difference? What can we do to stem the tide of violence? What can we do to spur healing amongst Black people, young Black people in particular, but also amongst all people who all have been hurt, who all have felt a certain amount of dis-ease from the scourge of racism and the thought that we are not all created equal under which the God that we serve. And let me stop there and first give thanks to the Most High God. Let me give thanks to God's salvation, who we call Jesus Christ. Let me give thanks for this day that many thought would never come in the city that we call Chicago, founded by a Black man, Jean-Baptiste Dusable. I want to give thanks for Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. and his legacy. We've all heard the names of those who have been an important part to this work. The flag that we raise is a symbol, right? Symbols carry messages. I said the other day, Mayor, that signs and symbols are for the conscious mind, Brother James. Remember that? So let's talk about what these here things symbolize. We already heard about the Juneteenth flag, but let's give a reminder about what the red, the black, and the green mean, David. What they mean, Sister Cassie? Red is for the blood. So when I say red is for the blood, let's say it again. Let's do a call and response. So I'm gonna say red is for the blood, you say red is for the blood. Y'all ready? Red is for the blood. Black is for the people. Green is for the land. Red is for the blood. Black is for the people. Green is for the land. It's the land that we were stolen from. It's the land that we will produce from. This land means, this green means the fruit that will sustain us from this point forward. Let's go back to the red. I just want y'all to understand. This red symbolizes the blood that has been shed by black people in particular on the way to this land and on this land. So Juneteenth was recognized as our freedom, right? It speaks to our healing. Some might say it speaks to our repair. Some might say that it speaks to our reparations, right? But our healing, this blood means that the debt has already been paid. There is no need for us to be ashamed, to be quiet, to slow down, to be afraid. The debt has already been paid. We heard from the commissioner earlier, and he spoke about Dr. King. Dr. King didn't just say, we free at last. Dr. King said, we coming to do what? Cash a check. A debt is owed. What do we understand about the contributions of black people to this country, to the world? I can go on and on. I'm just gonna keep it brief since I'm supposed to. I know I'm a little over. So I'm gonna give you 60 more seconds and then I'm done. Let us not forget that June, as it is celebrated as Black Pride Month, and I appreciate and celebrate that along with the Pride community. Let us also understand that June is Black Music Month. And you can't think of no music from gospel to country to jazz to blues to rock and roll to soul to R&B to disco to hip hop to pop. All that is the expression of the values and principles that undergird the freedom that is germane to the health and well-being of black folks. 5 years ago, we started Black Culture Week. Celebrate, commemorate, and collaborate. How do we celebrate black people and the culture that we've created? How do we commemorate black folks through tradition and ritual, hence Juneteenth? And then how do we collaborate, Commissioner Deere? Where you at? To make new, where you at, Alderman Hadden? Mayor Lightfoot, Alderman Irvin, and all of the elected officials. How do we collaborate to make new contributions to the culture, to the black community? That's why we're here. We are thankful to you, Mayor. We are thankful to every single person that worked on this. We are thankful to you, Lucretia, for setting the path that we have followed, and we only continue to move forward. To make this dream Thank you. Happy Juneteenth! Happy Juneteenth! Happy Juneteenth! Out of the way!